Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. In today's video, guys, we're going to be diving down into the world of Zilliqa to see the price action of ZIL and what might happen next here with this particular altcoin. As we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all that said, done, and out of the way, let's dive down into the charts and take a look at what is going on here with ZIL. Okay guys, so here we are on the weekly chart, just to kind of give us the overview of what progress has been had so far and what to expect to happen next. Obviously the bull run really started back in March of 2020. Basically what we can see, the bull run is being made up of 5 impulsive waves, okay? And on here for Zilliqa, we can see that's exactly what's been going on. A very steep start though. Basically lots of kind of speculation over Zilliqa to start with. Good traction was had pretty much from early March all the way through to pretty much like around July, August time of 2020. We then started to see a slower kind of sideways trade and pullback. This is pretty much in line with our second wave correction here, taking us down in kind of late September, bottomed out, and then obviously once we started to exit out of 2020 into 2021, we got a nice huge run to the upside. Again, nothing moves in straight lines, so you can see that there was definitely some downward trades going on here on that journey to the upside. And again, we were overbought at this point, and then we started to actually lose the momentum, and we can see this in the stochastic RSI. Even though the price was moving up, the momentum was dropping down. This meant that we topped out up here in May of 2021. So basically from March through to May, it was a 420-day run that saw 11,490% in gains. This is very much in line with things like ADA, for example, during the same time period. Very much a similar kind of momentum to them. Now, obviously, this was significantly better performance-wise than Bitcoin or Ethereum, but not as good as things like maybe Harmony One, VeChain, and Anchor, right? But a good performer nonetheless. And obviously we had a pretty steep pullback, right? And this is something that's can happen pretty much with these impulsive moves to the upside. Sometimes you actually find that waves 2 and waves 4 will always be opposite, right? So basically when one is flat, the other one is sharp. Okay, so this particular kind of trading pattern happens quite rarely, but it can. And basically when you have a flat wave like this, this next fourth wave becomes very, very steep. So quick, like a flash in the pan, and it's done, right? We actually saw this happen very, very quickly. So we did actually bottom out with wave 4. This actually happened in July. And from here, we actually started to get some good traction in August back to the upside. Very similar to the kind of traction that we had back in March of August 2020, right? And then we pulled back in September. Again, September is always the month of pullbacks. It's self-fulfilling. We all expect it, therefore we make it happen. And then obviously as we continue this, we are now looking to see if we can rally back out again. Obviously we have to bear in mind that when we got out of September, we were quite slow, right, in trying to close this out. And then basically it took a couple of months, so November time, if we look at the history, was when Zilliqa really started to start running. So it's going to be interesting to see if the same time frames actually stick out here for ZIL, and whether or not actually the month of November becomes a very, very good month to see this kind of complete. The other thing that's quite an interesting thing, I think it's worth kind of noting, let me just grab hold of our arc here, is there is a potential for a cup and handle pattern. Again, it's a little bit slower. It's very, very clear on the weekly chart here to see, but we could start to actually see this cup and handle pattern play out. And again, this would actually allow us then to take us to those next levels. And I'm just going to grab hold of this approximately. So that actually shows us moving out to about 19 cent, okay? That would put us into the 618 area, and we'll take a look at it on the daily chart in a little bit more detail in a moment. But this could be the trigger that really takes us up into November in a very strong way, into this fifth wave as we continue that growth to the upside overall. Now, at this point, we are going to take a look at these trends in a little bit more detail, right? I think it's important that we acknowledge that there are 5 impulsive waves, but where does that fifth wave actually end, right? And for that, we are going to use a trend-based fib. Okay, we're going to take the low area that was achieved in wave 2. Okay, so we're just going to grab hold of that line just here. Then we're going to go up to the high area that was achieved during this May time, right, where we actually peaked out when Bitcoin was $65,000. Then obviously we're going to bring into consideration the lower area of wave 4. This then actually shows Zilliqa moving out to $1.07, okay? And again, this is based on the trend of the bull run, right? This is not just one anchor point. It's not just looking at a higher 3 and the lower 4. We do that as well on the daily chart. That gives us a nice conservative target. But what we're doing is we're saying, okay, show me the trend of wave 2, show me the trend of wave 3, and then let's consider the trend of wave 4. Where does that actually place this fifth wave? And that actually shows us moving out a 4.236 extension of $1.07. So again, pretty interesting kind of price expectations could be set there along with that journey. Now, I do think that's probably the actual limit, right? So a lot of people often say, can Zilliqa hit $1? And this is actually showing us that the trends of this bull run, with everything that we've seen so far, it is very probable that we are likely to move out towards that $1.07. So the fifth wave, we've actually just placed it there at $1. You can see it's just short of our $1.07 target. But again, it's very, very possible to have this actually occur. So everything for Zil is actually looking very, very good. I know it's a bit of a slow burner. And again, you just have to look at this leg here. The amount of time that was actually spent between the high of 1 before we actually broke that high, which actually was 168 days. And we take into consideration the high of 3 to where we currently are today. That's 182 days. I think we're on the cusp of a big surge to the upside here with Anchor, just around the corner. I think that November could be a very interesting time taking a look at the structure of this weekly chart. So with that being said, let's jump on down into our daily chart and take a look at what's going on here. So obviously we have that cup and handle that we just put on, although very poorly put on their mind, I have to say. I can't really draw in a straight line on the weekly chart, it would appear. But if we actually go ahead and just align this back up again to these areas that we have, we can see that basically, yeah, we are moving up quite nicely here with the cup and handle pattern. I just want to check to see how deep this correction is, because if we drop lower than 50%, then that is not going to be valid. So 45%, okay, that's not too bad. We can say there's a 45% correction in that. Okay, so let's actually continue that growth, right? That actually puts us up here at 18.9 cent. We've measured it before. And that puts us just above the 618 on that journey to the upside. A lot of battling will happen up here. This is the main area of battle. Basically, we're looking to get past the 786 for a big bull flag that takes us to the next all-time high and all that kind of good stuff. Obviously, we had this downward trend. We broke it, we came back in, and we're getting wedged into here really, really tightly. So this could be the catalyst that we are looking for, right? So downward trend. We're pushing on up. We found good support just here at 9.4. And again, a little bit lower, we can also see that there's a good support level just being found a little bit lower than that as well. So in this area, but there's a triangular wedge with our upward trend line, a downward trend line. If this plays out nicely, this could be a huge catalyst for a big boost to the upside, maybe completing our handle and then taking us up to those next levels. Like I said, November does seem to be an interesting month history-wise. It could also play out very, very well for Zilliqa in this month of November just approaching. So all that could be very, very well received. Obviously, take a look at the stochastic, nice and low here on the daily chart. So lots of growth opportunity in that as we look to continue the growth overall. And again, this Fibonacci retracement tool that we have here on our daily just looks at the higher 3 and the lower 4, basically allowing us to be more conservative with a 92.5 cent price expectation for Zilliqa. Again, just wicking above could take us to that dollar level. Now, again, lots of selling pressure will be there at that $1 threshold. It's a psychological barrier. Loads of people will have their sell orders potentially placed there, wanting to get out at a nice round number. So these areas on his chart of 38, 59, 79, and 92.5 might be your best friend in terms of setting up some orders to sell at these thresholds. Otherwise, do look at the weekly chart. Those price expectations are slightly different, and again, would allow you to take a little bit more out of the bull run if that is what you want to do. For less experienced people, maybe paying attention to just the higher 3 and the lower 4. This basic fib retracement with those extensions, aiming for 92.5 cent is, I think, a nice, comfortable, safe zone, conservative target to be having here for Zilliqa. So everything's kind of watching Zil now, just making sure that everything lines up nicely and seeing if we do get this surge in the month of November. At this point, we'll jump over to the advice.io dashboard. And what we're going to do, guys, is actually take a look at the underlying value of Zilliqa. Links in the description below if you're not familiar with Zilliqa, with advice.io, sorry. They use artificial intelligence and machine learning to help us understand the undervalued value of cryptocurrencies, right? Here we can see that Zilliqa is an A3 cryptocurrency rating overall, but they go down in a little bit more detail. When we come down here, we have an AMI-HAD ratio that's an A2, basically indicating there's no problems with liquidity. Buying and selling is pretty fluid, no problems with any of that. The fear and greed index is B1, so pretty neutral, looking like it's actually rising up over the last few days. This could actually enter into a greedy area, which could start to see some FOMO activity, and specifically when retail investors start to chase those green candles. Be mindful that when things do go extremely greedy, experienced traders tend to take profits. But again, we'll cover that as the time approaches. As we come down for a sharp ratio, we can see that this is an A2 rating as well, well above the 50-day average. This is basically indicating that the rewards outweigh the risks, and we might want exposure to ZIL. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. Chris is not a financial advisor. advice.io are not offering financial advice. So you might want to use this coupled with your charts to come up with your own kind of conclusions. But what we have here is basically a sharp ratio that's saying you might want to have some exposure to Zilliqa. And of course, we have a pretty neutral fear and greed index. So again, read into that as you will. You might want to take advantage of those dips if they do occur, and you'll be able to take advantage of what is to come. Now, Zilliqa's moving averages are up there as an A2, not a problem with a 10-day, 50-day, or 100-day moving averages, and the profitability is right up there as an A1 as well. So again, nothing wrong with the underlying data. It's all looking pretty good from that kind of aspect. So when we jump down into our hourly, and we actually expand this up a little bit, and what we can do is actually take a look at what's been going on most recently. We obviously had these downward trends. We obviously had the event pulling us back down, trading off, and again, we're getting pulled down. Every time we have these breakout events, right, we can see it. We broke out, we pulled down. We broke out, we pulled down, right? And again, liquidating, that people who are going short or going long, over leveraging themselves. Now, obviously on this channel, we don't use leverage. We find it far too risky. We just buy the assets, right? And then if we decide to sell them at a loss, we decide to sell them at a loss. If we decide to sell them at a profit, we sell them at a profit. And the problem with liquidation is you don't have that control. If those whales decide to dump on the market and bring the price down, all those people who were going long got liquidated because they don't have the capital to actually buy the assets, right? So yes, it can multiply your gains, but it multiplies your losses very, very quickly. So we don't use leverage. We just buy the assets. We own the assets, and if it's not affordable, it's not an opportunity for us, right? So we don't do that kind of stuff on the channel. So again, we avoid these kind of things, but again, opportunity, because when this happens, you can buy that dip, right? And then ride it to the upside. So there's always opportunities, no matter how you want to look at it. You can short it up here when the market's tanking. You can, of course, buy it down here, ride it to the top and sell it when it finds resistance, all that kind of good stuff. Loads of opportunities. Now, in terms of Zilliqa here, I think it's gearing up for a pretty big move, but I do think we're expecting another pullback first, okay? We can see that the stochastic is approaching the overbought area. We're up against resistance right now, so do expect a bit of a pullback, right? And basically, this would be in line with an ABC. We can see here, this would be your A, this would be your B, and then we'll look for a C coming down to approximately 9.6 cent, just at this lower area. And then from here, we'd like to see that explosion to the upside, right? We'll go for a big impulsive move to the upside overall, maybe taking us out towards these targets of 12 cent. Okay, and this is what we're looking for. As long as we don't get any more of these kind of events where we get, people getting liquidated, tanking the market down with it, and we should be in a pretty good position. But do expect another pullback first, an opportunity maybe to get in if that's what you want to do, and then obviously see this surge to the upside next. Overall, Zilliqa is something I hold. I still hold it. I don't, I stake it. I just earn my GZIL. I earn my ZIL, and I'm happy with that. I have my visions of where things are going. If I'm ever in doubt, it's always important to zoom on out. Pay attention to that weekly chart, right? We've got some good targets. I'm not selling at 1/10 of its value. So right now, everything's looking pretty good here for ZIL. So guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.